Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Monster. The new Netflix film Monster, not like the 50 other films named Monster. So when you're searching for it, it's specifically the one for Netflix and the one with Kelvin Johnson Jr. in it, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. in it. And this film is about a young man who is 17 years old, grows up in Harlem, wants to be a filmmaker, does all kinds of photography, and then he gets put on trial for murder. And this film focuses on his journey throughout this, and this is from director Anthony Mandler, and obviously I mentioned this is coming out on Netflix. And this film spends a lot of time setting up this young man as a person, as a character, and what we have here is a story about someone who's really trying to figure things out. He has his parents who are a big part in his life, played by Jeffrey Wright, who is great as always. And he has some great moments with his son, trying to teach him things, and like even his son makes comments of like, why do I even need to go to school when I could just stay home and listen to you and learn things from you? And also his mother, played by Jennifer Hudson. And you have Kelvin Harrison Jr. here, who is a really talented young man, and he does a great job in this film in terms of conveying. There's scenes where he's like imagining in the courtroom what he would like to say and things he would like to do, and it's very fiery and emotional, and you see him and his passions throughout the film in the parts where he's not on trial, showing his backstory, and in this moment, and you have his journey, like right off the bat, this film sets up some really sketchy police work and really unjustified assumptions and things, and like they set up the role of the public defender who's overworked and doesn't have like a strong connection to the case at first, and they have their first meeting, and she's like, here's all of my things for, this isn't even all of my clients here. And Jennifer Ailey plays the public defender. I've seen her in quite a few things at this point, and you know, she plays that role well. And you have this courtroom drama. It feels pretty standard, and you have like the opening remarks, and they seem exactly what you expect, and you have a prosecutor played by Paul Ben Victor just going like, he's a monster, he's a monster, and it just really sets this up as pretty standard affair when it comes to courtroom dramas. I don't think there's anything particularly interesting or compelling and specifically memorable about how this court case is filmed or portrayed, but it's still a very poignant and important story, and we still see things like this a lot, which you could take it in two ways. It's sad that this story has to keep being told, because it's still very relevant, and the unfortunate thing is it's something we've seen before, and I don't think Monster is done in a way that's particularly different or interesting that's going to really grab you from that. And you have a whole cast of, like, John David Washington's in this, A$AP Rocky, you have Nas is in this as well, and then, like, I know there's some scenes you have Tim Blake Nelson, who plays, like, a film teacher, Calvin Harrison Jr.'s in his class. I really love Tim Blake Nelson, but, like, what he's talking about in the class is so on the nose and really trying to set things up, and also is very, like, all of his students are like, I want to make abstract films, and he's just like, no, you have to have basic story structure. You have to have the inciting incident. You have to have a hero. You have to have a beginning, middle, and end. and it's very on the nose, kind of like filmmaking 101. And the irony is, like, this film feels pretty standard, and it's just like it's thrown in there to like paint that picture of like he wants to challenge the system and he's like stuck in this system. And I know you could look into that symbolism. It's very blunt though, and it's pretty obvious, so it's not something that's particularly interesting and just thrown out there, but it does work. And everything in this film is done in a solid and like done right kind of way. And the performances, for the most part, are very strong. And you have people like Jeffrey Wright, Kelvin Harrison Jr., doing these performances that do really stand out and elevate this to something that I thought was very solid, well made, and well intentioned film. And it's going to challenge you with some things that are still very relevant today. And in the end, Monster is a film worth watching. It's a very timely film and a worthwhile experience if you're in the need of having this kind of story presented to you to remind you of the kinds of things that are going on. But those are my thoughts on Monster. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.